All right, so kind of going to pick up from where we left off last week. I see a few people that's on the call that was at the office today when we were doing the training. And like I said earlier, we did a nice little training pit, but it's always better when it's recorded so that everybody else in the agency that can hear it, new people that's coming on can hear it. So Kenneth, unmute for me real quick, bro.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on, bro? So
all right.
We talked a little bit about the infinite banking. We talked a little bit about annuities, talked a little bit about, some of the bigger cases to be written. What was the difference between an annuity and a dividend paying whole life, and the difference between an IUL? Because all three are different. And over the last couple calls, we've been talking about all three together, but they're all different. And you had some questions, and a lot of other people had some questions on what's the difference and when should you be placing that type of opportunity. So I kind of want you to kind of give me a few of those questions so I can answer them, because we did a really good training earlier, but only like 9 people got a chance to hear it. Where here is, we got everybody on this call and it's recorded. So when everybody else that's dialing, stop dialing, they can go back and watch the recording.
Okay. Right. The one question we had was the percentage difference between like IULs, the compounding interest difference between IULs and annuities. That was one of the questions from earlier.
All right, so but
that was definitely the gist of the question.
I think another question was, can you liquidate or can you have access to the money the same way in the IUL as a dividend paying whole life policy too? And I think that's the biggest difference between the two, is the access to the money immediately versus access to the money later. The biggest difference between the two. So how do you know if Kenneth, who's 30, who has 100,000 that he wants to dump into this insurance policy, how do you know, should we take that 100,000 and put it into an IUL, or we should put it into a annuity? And I know he dialing. I wish Nico was on here, because we can because I kind of had to went through a real life scenario with him. But I know Terry's on here, so I'll probably use him as an example. But here we go. So when you get 30 years old, they have 100,000 sitting somewhere, whether it's in the bank account, 401k, anywhere, right? Let's say 20,000. Should they take that 20,000 and throw it into an IUL or a dividend paying whole life? It depends if they need to use it. Think of it as a check-ins and a savings account. Your savings account, you're going to use that every day, every month, throughout the year to pay your expenses, to make investments, to do different things. Your savings account, you typically try not to touch that. Are you saving for a certain debt, right? For a rainy day, right? You're saving it to use it for a birthday party or a vacation or whatever. Your savings, you kind of build up. And you actually get penalized when you touch your savings account more than 5 times in a month. A lot of people don't know that, but if you have a bank account, you have a savings, if you withdraw from your savings more than 5 times, they penalize you. The IUL is like your savings account. It's a long-term investment. So the way we do IULs is, the last few ones I did was we jumped 20,000 into the policy. Genesis, can you pull up the policy too? On my email, it's from Scott. Okay, did you from my insurance? Sorry, I'm gonna get an illustration for y'all in a second. But the IUL, we took 20,000, put it into the IUL, we paid it off for the year, right? That gave $2.4 million in life insurance. They are going to pay 20,000 every year for the next 20 years. That's going to equal to 400,000. They're going to stop paying after 20 years. It's a 20 pay. They never pay into this policy ever again. After the 20 years, they have a $1.1 million in the cash value, which they can pull out of the policy. So that's the long term. They can't put the 20,000 in year one and pull out 19,000 in year one. They put this 20,000 in, never to touch the money until 20 years later, when it accumulated to 1.1 million. The best thing about the IUL is after 20 years, they never put more money into this policy and it keeps compounding interest. Oh, and the death benefit keeps growing. So if this person's 30 when they started it and 50 when they stopped paying into it, they paid 400,000 in, got 1.1 million out of it. If they live to age 70, they would end up taking $4 million out of this policy, or having $4 million of a life insurance or money taken out. So they exchange 400,000 for 4 million. How does that happen? By the time they turn 70, they never put any more than 400,000 in, and they were able to take out 2.6 million. And they only put 400,000 in. Now, when you take that 2.6 million out of the policy and spend it like cash, it takes away from the death benefit, that's 4 million. So now you're only left with 1.4 million as a life insurance policy that will pass on tax-free to your family. But think about how decent that is. If a 30-year-old invests $200,000 of their money every year for the next 20 years, they put 400,000 in over 20 years, and they're able to pull out or get 4 million. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't exchange 400,000 for 4 million? So you kind of do this as a retirement account. You know what I mean? Or you kind of do this as a wealth accumulation account. You don't do this for infinite banking. So for all of you guys who think this is an infinite banking, use an IUL, no, don't do that. Because if you touch the money prematurely in the IUL, it can affect the growth. You mess with the compounded interest. So whenever you're selling the IUL, you kind of want to sell it on the concept that they're going to put money in for a period of time and pull out way more later. Kind of like the example I said. They put 400,000 in over 20 years. And at the end of the 20 years, they got $1.1 million in the cash value. And they might have, 3 million as the life insurance. That's kind of how you want to sell the IUL, as a retirement plan, tax-free in retirement. There's a book by Patrick Kelly, if you guys haven't read it, and you heard me say on this on some of the other calls, that's going to help you with IULs. Patrick Kelly, tax-free in retirement. The book's like this thin, takes no time to read it. Guess what? If you want to fast track it, chapter 18 tells you everything you need to know. But it's really simple. That's kind of how we're going to, implement that strategy. Now I'm going to flip to the infinite banking side, because this is very popular right now, and a lot of people are doing it. And this can happen for anybody. Anybody can do this, whether you have $1 million or you have 100,000. The one I'm getting ready to show you right now is just happens to be a policy that I'm working on myself, and this is a policy that I'm actually getting ready to put in force for a client of mine. But you don't have to dump in $1 million into this policy. You can literally dump in 10,000 into this policy. And as y'all heard on one of the other calls, Abdul started out with 4,000. But I kind of want y'all to see a real illustration so that y'all can put, a face to what I'm talking about. So we're shifting gears to infinite banking. Guys, this you don't have to sell. Literally just go on YouTube and type in infinite banking, check a video out that you like, and just send it to people. Tell people to look it up. Everybody's talking about it. They just don't know how to properly structure it. And they can't do it with the vehicle that we can do it. So this person is 38. We're going to start here, right at the top. They're 38. Their initial premium they're putting in the policy is 1.3 million. You know what? Okay, I'm sorry. Can you pull up the other one for 100,000? It's easier for math. Sorry, guys. I'm doing two cases, but I'm gonna show you guys the one for 100,000 because it's simpler to kind of go through. But guys, this is being recorded. So hear everything I'm saying, but also come back and watch this, use this, because you're about to learn a lot about this infinite banking strategy right now by looking at the policy. Yes. Is that the other one?
This is the other one.
Yes. Okay, good.
Share.
Yep, there it is. Oh, share it up. So I'm literally going to go through a real life scenario with you guys. This is a policy that I just written. This person has 100,000 that they want to dump into they dumped into the policy. They're 37. You see right there, it says 100,000. The moment they put this money into the policy, soon as the policy issue, they're able to pull out $89,196. That's close to 90% of the money that they put into the policy. They're going to borrow it from the insurance company. The 100,000 is never moving. It's never going to move. It's going to grow compound interest every single year. So the first year, they were able to take 90,000 out of the policy. The first year, if you go all the way over to where it says annual dividend, they gained that year $3,542 just from having the money in an account. So that's 3.5% it grew the first year. A little over 3.5%. The death benefit is 1.5 million. So it's about 1.6 million, 1,597,000 some change. So they instantly created a state because if they die tomorrow, their family going to get 1.6 million. They put 100,000 that's growing 3.5% the first year, and they was able to still access 90% of the money to go buy the car, to go run a business, to buy groceries, to pay their mortgage. Now, if they had that 100,000 in the bank, it's not growing 0.000 point something interest. The second year they had the policy, 4,000 because it's compounded. 4,000 because there's more money in the account. That's why it's growing more. Third year, 44. We go all the way down to year 10. By year 10, the annual dividend is 8,200. The cumulative amount is 208,000. But we're factoring all the money that was made over those years in the compounded interest. Here's the thing, if you pay that money back to the account, you can use it again. Here's the beautiful part about this, guys. It's a non-structured loan. What does that mean? That means you pay the loan back on your own terms. That means you take the 90,000 out, your 100,000 still grows as if you never touched it. And you can start making payments 3 months, 6 months, 2 years from when you took the 90,000 out. Now understand, if you take the 90,000 out, you can't spend it again until you replace it. And if you die before you replace the money, they just take it off your death benefit. They'll take 90,000 out of your 1.6 million. Guess what? As your interest grows in the account, it becomes available. So let's just say 5 years of having a policy, that's 3,000, 7,000, 11,000, 15,000, 20,000. That's 21,000 of interest that grew in that account. Now you have 21,000 that you can pull out again. So now you put in 100 and you took out 110. Now you finally pay that loan off. You do a real estate deal or something or whatever, and you're able to pay that loan, or every single month you pay in a certain percentage, however you pay the loan back. Once you pay the loan back, you can take out the whole 20,000 out, 120,000 out. It's like your own savings account. The way I say it is, if you had 100,000 in your savings account, you wouldn't spend the whole 100,000 and then not pay your savings account back. Because if you don't pay your savings account or checking account, you can't use the money again. Now, this is a savings or a checking account with an interest bearing to it, and it has a life insurance death benefit attached. So I know I threw a lot, so I'm gonna open it up for questions so I can kind of really dive deep into getting you guys to understand this concept, because there's no reason that if somebody has 10,000 sitting in a savings account or checkings account, that they shouldn't transfer that 10,000 directly to this life insurance policy. Be able to borrow out 9,000 of it, have a death benefit, you know what I mean? And just be able to grow interest up to 3.5% to 6%. And it gets better because it's compounding. It just makes no sense because you don't lose any liquidity. You get a life insurance benefit and you grow interest. If you don't have this policy for yourself and you got 5,000, whatever laying around, you should do it. Abdul did his, he told you about his. He put 4,000 into the policy. He had like a $300,000 death benefit. The moment the policy issued, he took the 4,000 out, spent it on whatever. He didn't start paying his loan back until 6 months later. And you gave him just $50 here, $50 there, and over 2-3 years, he paid them back. And now that 4,000 he put in there, it's like 11,000 now. So that's more than a double up in less than 5 years. And he got to spend the money and use it. And it's going to grow interest permanently. Sorry, I should have put it on Do Not Disturb. So that's kind of the concept. Guys, if you want to start selling this, you know, it's just a simple concept of just understanding that it's just a savings account with an interest tied to it with a death benefit. That's the best way to say it. Now I'm gonna open it back up for questions because I know I threw a lot at you guys. And I'm sorry.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is the annual premium on that, when you put the $12,000 a year in the first column, does that mean it's $1,000 a month to maintain the policy?
Say that one more time, sorry.
So I looked on the spreadsheet that you sent, that you shared on the screen, and it looked like it was showing $12,000 as the annual premium. Does that mean that that's a monthly fee of $1,000 a month, or the price cost?
Great question. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm glad you mentioned that because I did forget to say that. Yes, that's the cost of the insurance for the 1.6 million.
Okay.
So you do have to have them pay the cost of insurance, right? Now, here's the beautiful thing about it. That 12,000 is going right back into the account, and it's going to help the cash value grow. On top of the money that you got to pay back for the borrow, on top of the compounded interest.
Okay, so regardless, each
but it's
year
always going to be. But listen, it's a whole life policy too. All right. It's a whole life policy, so they're going to have to pay that 12,000 for the length of the policy. But at some point, the interest that's growing is going to pay for the cost of insurance. Plus, that 12,000 is adding towards the cash value.
Okay.
So it's all money gained.
And then how long does the policy last if someone was to do that at age 35 purchase?
It's a whole life, so it lasts the entire life. So think of it this way. How long does your bank account last when you open it? As long as you keep money and as long as you keep doing it.
Right.
So that's why I want y'all guys to kind of think of it simply and don't try to like overcomplicate it, because it is complex, but it's really simple. The best way to think of it.
What happens if someone doesn't pay that $1,000 in 1 month? Let's say it's in year 3, and then for 1 month or a couple months or whatever happens, it's not paid. Does the policy, what happens to that 6?
You can set it up with a cash value of pay the 12,000.
Okay.
Now, typically you wouldn't do that, and that's why you kind of make sure that you guys come to an agreement on what they can spend monthly. So I did another one where they dumped. Abdul actually just did one where they dumped 25,000 in one lump sum, but they're paying $125 a month for the insurance.
Okay.
So you typically would set it up. Now, here's the thing. That person cannot dump more than 50,000 into their policy a year
Okay.
because it will mech, because it got to keep up with the cost of insurance,
Wow. Okay.
which is too complex to get into right now, because I don't want you guys to kind of make this complicated. I want you
Right,
guys to
right.
make it simple. Like, listen, if you got 10,000, 100,000, $1 million, whatever, sitting in an account, in a savings account or a checkings account or a CD, and it's getting 0.000% interest, maybe 1% interest if it's a lot of money, why will you take that same money, put it into this account, allow it to grow interest, and allow you to be able to still spend the money? For people that are doing real estate, this is perfect. Me personally, anytime I do a real estate deal, I'm doing one right now. I literally just doing it right now. I'm going to take 100,000, dump it. I'm getting a revolving line of credit on one of my properties. I'm taking it and putting it into the insurance policy. I'm going to use that 100,000 over the next 6 months to fix up one of my other properties. That property is going to generate me $3,500 a month. I'm going to take that $3,500 a month. I'm going to pay $1,000 to the to pay the loans. That's how much they want for the loan. It's a little under $1,000, but let's just say 1,000. I still got 2,500 left over from the property. I'm going to take 2,500 of that, throw it back into the insurance policy to repay the 100,000. Within 3 years, that's 90,000. The interest that grew on that 90,000 with that 90,000 turns it into 132,000. So now we got 132,000 sitting in this account, and I spent 100, and I used the property to pay that back. I'm going to take 100,000 out of that money when it gets to 132 in 3 years and redo another project, and just kind of redo it over and over again. It's my personal bank account. Kind of what you heard Waka Flocka say one time. He said, man, I'll never be broke. I'm going to take $2 million, throw it into a life insurance policy, borrow from my life insurance policy, and pay it back. I'll never be broke. Why? Because the interest is constantly growing. You can do this when you're buying a house. You can do this when you're buying a car. If you got a car note, you got interest on that car note. Why not let the interest that's growing on your policy pay for the interest on the car note? Because if you're just taking the money out of your checkings account and paying that car note, that means some of it's going to the car note and some of it's going to the interest. But if you're taking the money out of your insurance policy and paying your car note, that means the money that you're paying is going towards the car note and the interest, and it's interest building in an account that's going to oversee the interest rate that you're paying on your car note or your mortgage or your credit card. Literally, you're paying interest on everything. So why not gain interest on every single thing you pay?
Right.
And that's how you become your own bank. Because guess what the bank's doing? If you got 100,000 in the bank, you can't go tomorrow and take all the money out the bank. Just not gonna happen. But you look on your Bank of America app, it says on the app that you have 100,000 there. When in reality, they already lended your 100,000 out and everybody else 100,000 out to Genesis for her car note, for Kenneth for his home, for his mortgage, for Zana for her new watch or her credit card. They already lended the money out. You know what I mean? It's gone. That's why you can't just go to the bank and say, "Oh, give me 100,000." Oh no, we ain't got it. You gotta give us a couple of days for that.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So as I'm looking for my prospective people that can benefit off of this situation, I understand that it's a blood and urine test that's mandatory. So does that automatically disqualify tobacco users or anybody with sickle cell or autoimmune disease or anything like that?
Good question. That's an excellent question. Unfortunately, it is life insurance. So if you smoke tobacco, your rate might go up. Like you might have to pay more. Then your cost of insurance might be more.
Okay, but that just doesn't disqualify him.
It doesn't
What
disqualify.
about
Now, if you have sickle cell, depending on if it's the trait or full-blown sickle cell, it might
Right.
disqualify you. If you have AIDS, it might disqualify you. You know, so at the end of the day, they do have to pass the health requirements to be able to qualify for 1.6 million of life insurance. Because if they die tomorrow, even though you have your own bank, this is what makes it a lot better than the bank. The interest rate is higher, but you also immediately created an estate. You immediately created a legacy. Because if you die tomorrow after you got this policy, your family gets 1.6. The $1 million policy was 22 million. So if something happens to him, his family's getting 22 million tax-free. They want to make sure you ain't going to die tomorrow. Because they are planning that you ain't going to die. They planning that you're going to keep spending the money and keep giving it to them. And understand that these insurance companies has been around longer than all the banks you can think of. Bank of America invests $22.6 billion into insurance policies just like this every year. Chase does 19.8. All the banks do it anyway. When the banks need a bailout, the government need a bailout, they come to these insurance carriers to bail them out. On the side of your bank, it says that it's insured. It's insured. Who you think is insuring the money that you go to the bank with? Bank of America been around for what, 20 years? Wells Fargo changed his name 3 times and been around for maybe 20 years. Lafayette been around for 150 years. America been around for 100 years. Forrester's been around for close to 200 years. These insurance companies are worth multi-trillions. We're not talking billions, we're talking trillions. AIG is in every single country. If you guys ever seen the movie Man on Fire, AIG is the policies that they was doing with the kidnappings. I see Hotep, unmute. What was that question he said?
Investing with IBC, what's the interest rate for the policy loan?
Oh, it's been banking concept. So it depends on the company and it depends on how you structure it. So the way I would say it is, some of them is 3.5, some of them is 5%. Excuse me. And sometimes these projections come out better than what they show on the illustration. Because a dividend is you being a mutual partner in the company, meaning you having stock in the company. So they're giving you a dividend. A dividend can be more some years and less other years. But they got a fixed rate, which would typically the lowest I see is 3.5. The highest I see is 5% right now. Does that not mean you won't gain 10%? Yeah, you can. Because what if they pay more of a dividend because they did really well this year? But the lowest I see is about 3.5. Here's the beautiful thing. You're always going to get way more on this concept than you ever get in the bank. Because they're sharing some of the profits with you, right? The bank is going to lend out your money and charge 18% interest and still give you 0.000% on your money. The insurance carrier is like, all right, well, listen, if we get 20% returns this year, we're going to give you 8%. Because we win in both of the ways. We win in from taking all people insurance premiums every year, which equals up to billions, and we can invest that. And now we're going to be able to invest your money that you put in a lump sum into our savings accounts. So we long way, they way up. So they can share more of the, the interest. And that's why you own this bank account and you actually own your own banking system. And some people do it collectively as a family, like the Kennedys and, Rothschilds kind of created this concept together. And then some of these large families, they kind of do the Waltons, McDonald's, Disney, So whoever this is, you know a little something. That's Mike.
Oh, I think it's Mike.
I don't know. But whoever that is, they know a little something about this. But yes, all they do is take all their money, put it into these infinite banking programs, and they create a trust. And all the beneficiaries to trust Now, there's a whole bunch of money in this cash value of this policy. The only way you get the cash value is if you agree to set up a life insurance policy that's going to pass to the trust, which is probably 10 to 20 times what the initial amount is. Think about it. For 100,000, you got 1.6 million in life insurance. For 1.3 million, you got 22 million. These families never go broke. They never go broke, ever. Why? Because even if they mess up the 1.3 million, or they mess up the 100,000, or in that case, the 100 million, it's still 700 or $1 billion behind it growing. And that's going to come back tax-free to the pot. So they will never go broke, even if somebody make the dumbest investment with $10 million. Donald Trump, his family does it. They do it. And it's especially good for real estate. And that's why Donald Trump really does it, because it gets crazy in the real estate market. Because now you can leverage that. You can leverage, like, if you got this system, you should never have your house paid off. All your equity, you should be spending it. So now you're double dipping. You're enjoying all your equity, and then your family is still going to have the house paid off, plus money left over when you die. So I would never have my properties paid off. I own 5 house properties flat out, and I got one that I'm living in now with a mortgage. Once my mortgage is paid off, I'm just going to get a revolving line of credit or an equity, a HELOC or an equity loan, and then spend all the money and have the insurance policy cover it when I die. And anytime I pay back into the loan, it's just paying it back so I can borrow it again. Or not even borrow it, use it again. It's properly leveraging your assets. And that's what life insurance can do. So yes, we can sell these everyday final expense policies, mortgage protection. We're going to do that. That's going to be our quick money. You asked a question earlier, Kenneth. It was you, I can't remember, it was either you or somebody else, where they said, well, why would we sell whole life, or final expense, or why would we sell mortgage protection or anything else? I think I just want to only sell this. It was Julio. He said, I just want to only sell this. I'm like, nah, that was you, Julio? Yeah. And I'm like, no, bro, because that's the quick money. You got to get blood in your urine with these $22 million life insurance policies, $1.6 million life insurance policy, where they're dumping their money. So that can take 3 weeks before you actually get paid. Now, if you're getting paid $15,000, you don't mind waiting 3 to 4 weeks to get paid, right? But at the end of the day, you still got to pick up the low-hanging fruit, and you just got to do what's best for each client, because you might wind up writing 3 policies in one house with this. Now, I was telling y'all the story about how I wrote $18,000 over a weekend and was deposited all in my bank account within 2 days. So on Friday, I wrote $8,000 between Friday and Saturday with Americo, all final expense and mortgage protection. And then there was the only Sunday that I worked last year. And I just was on fire. I had like 9 appointments. I think I saw every last one of them. And I think I sold every last one of them besides 2. That day I made 10 grand. Now, Americo used to pay you on Monday, well, give you your pay slip on Monday and pay you Tuesday off everything that you did from Friday to Sunday. So I woke up that Monday morning with a pay slip for like 18 grand. And I was wondering, like, damn, is they gonna give me a piece of this, or is this all gonna hit my bank account? I woke up Tuesday morning, the whole 18,000 was directly deposited in my bank account. So that should answer the question, should you do both? You absolutely do both, because we get leads for final expense. We get leads for mortgage protection. All I'm teaching you is that if you're already in these houses doing these different things, let them know that you're a full service. Because there's times that I walk into a house like last week where I walked in there and I couldn't sell them life insurance, but I picked up 148,000. There was 148,000 in an annuity, or 158,000. It was something nice. I know I'm getting like 8,000, 9,000 in commission from it. So if you let people know you have a full service, you might go there for life insurance, but you might end up selling them something else. You might go there and sell them mortgage protection and then also sell them an annuity. You might go there and only sell them annuity. You might go there and they don't like the concept of the mortgage protection, but they love infinite banking. Just let
I have
people
one
know.
last question too.
Hit me.
Say in the instance if an infinite banking instance, if somebody dumps in 100,000 and they get the 90,000 out and they was to put that in a move, like a real estate move, and the move went south. It just blew up. I know it's a non-structured repayment, but they wouldn't be able to borrow anything back at that point, right?
Besides the interest that grew.
Besides the interest that grew. Okay.
Yeah. Because you kind of pretty much used your 100,000 already. So now you only getting what's growing on 100,000 that's sitting in it. So you'll get the 3,500, and as it grows on 10,000, and you'll just be able to get the interest. And then guess what? Now listen, that 100,000 you took out, it still got to get paid back. Right. So if you never pay it back, when you die, they just gonna take that 100,000 out of the 1.6 million.
Okay.
So instead of getting 1.6, your family get 1.5. Okay. If your client read that, that's long.
If your client have retirement funds in another account and willing to start an IUL for retirement, when you start the application, is it going to be a rollover, or do they need to withdraw it from the account and put it in a checking account?
That's a great question. Oh man. Unfortunately, rollovers is not going to be a rollover. Rollovers is for retirement accounts. So whenever you do a rollover from a 401k, it got to roll over directly to an IRA or an annuity. An annuity is just an IRA. An IRA just stands for individual retirement account. You know, it's only just a tax shelter. A 401k and a 403b, a 403b is the same thing, nothing different. It's just about how they're taxed. That's the only thing that separates them. And one is a work plan and one is not a work plan. So unfortunately, to answer your question properly, if they want to take money out of their IRA or out of their 401k or any type of retirement account to fund this IUL, they would have to take that money and withdraw it and put it into a checking account and kind of wire the money over or pay the check over to the insurance company. Because technically, that's illegal to roll money straight from a retirement account into this. And the reason why they did that is because Uncle Sam always wanted his piece. And they can't tell you what you can do with your personal checkings and money that's in your checking account, but they can tell you what to do with your retirement account.
It's through Fidelity. So
it's yeah, because this is what you gotta understand. There's tax now, tax deferred, and tax never. By doing this IUL, that's how you access the tax never bucket in your retirement. And Uncle Sam is going to make it difficult for you to gain interest and capital gains without paying taxes. But guess what? He can't regulate it but so much, because these these insurance companies are so much of the economy that they got the last word. Because we just helped you bail out the government with $6 trillion when the banks crashed in 2008. So yeah, you can regulate the people, but you ain't regulating us. Because we tied in America, we tied in Spain, we tied over here. We don't give a crap what you're talking about. We got more money than y'all. And I hate to say it that way, but that's just kind of how I'm breaking it down. Now, I did see you said Fidelity. Fidelity is an investment firm. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that money is probably tied up into an investment. So what they're gonna have to probably do is probably move that money over to a checkers account, like you said. Now, if they under 59 and a half, good luck. Because if they try to take their money out before 59 and a half out of a retirement account, and it's not a direct rollover, and they're not getting, it's not direct rollover, they're gonna get penalized. And they're going to get taxed on the capital gains. So that's why I say it's a difference between, like, you know, kind of knowing which one to go with. So what I would do, the best way I would tell you is just call me. Don't think you got to know everything. Just call me. Nico didn't even have NLG. Abdul didn't even have NLG when they was writing these policies. They just knew enough to sell the concept, called me on the phone. I kind of sealed the deal for them on the phone, got the person committed, and then we literally did a paper app, submitted the whole application. And once they saw the application, they immediately appointed him, and he got paid his commissions. And he barely knew what he was talking about and barely sold the policy. All they did was bring it up, get me on the phone to close the deal, and then we ran through the process. So don't overcomplicate it. Like, I know enough about this to where you can put me on the phone with the person, and by the time I'm finished talking to them, they're gonna be like, all right, where can I put my money? Can I put it in now? And then I'm gonna have to say, hold on, slow down, let's date a little bit. Let me take you through underwriting. Let me get you approved for the policy, and then you can give me your money. Because once you talk about this concept to people, they're going to want to do it, I promise. I mean, this is like, I could just say like this, the commissions off of the last week or two from this is probably close to about 70 grand. And it's literally all word of mouth from here. Because once one person do it, the next person will want to do it, and then they tell somebody else, and it's game over. So imagine getting, you know, Nico wrote 4 of them worth 80,000 over the last 2 months. The 3 that he wrote was referrals from the first one. And that's how we're working on a deal with DeAndre Hopkins, the football NFL player, from the word of mouth from one of the 4. This is such a great concept that you don't have to ask for referrals once you sell it properly. They'll start pouring in like work, like clockwork. Any other questions before we kind of wrap it up? All right, so, okay.
I just want to mention something real quick. Now on the stats website, when you go on Gateway, you can see your previous book of business. So Grant, Corey, all y'all managers, go on there, call your clients back, tell them about this. I don't know if this is how it's going to go, but for now, you can only see your book of business for Americo, Mutual of Omaha, and American Amicable. But in September, they're going to throw on another 3 carriers. I forget which ones they are, but you can now see your book of business. So I'll be leaving after this call, but tomorrow, if you have to reach out to me because you need help with that, let me know, because that's something so important. It could really jumpstart your business.
Where did you say that was again?
It's
Genesis?
on stats. So when you're going to the lead center, it's one of those options on there. It says stats.
Okay.
And then once you get on stats, there's going to be a little menu bar, and it would say book of business on there.
Okay.
If you don't see it, let me know, and then I could just reach out to corporate, make sure you do get it.
Got it. I have one question for you, Kyrie, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I have one question for you. I did my first annuity last week. However, I didn't turn it in. I didn't put a date on it because I'm still trying to get these requirement courses done.
Okay, here's what I need you to do. Definitely get those requirement courses done. Don't play with it. If you gotta do them late at night, just get it out the way, please.
Right.
2, did you write a paper app or did you write a e-app?
I did an e-app. I didn't turn it in though.
Wait, did you do the e-app through the
Firelight?
Through the website, or did you do the e-app through our new portal that we have directly, that links you directly to Sean Reggiano and Laura?
I think I did it that way. That's through Firelight.
Firelight. All right, cool. So you did it through Firelight.
Yeah.
Great. The reason now, guys, this is important. Make sure you submit your applications through Firelight, Because if you do it through Firelight, before it's submitted to the carrier, Lauren, which is the head of AMS annuity side, will literally scratch through your whole application and make sure you don't make no mistakes. And if you made mistakes, she will help you correct the mistakes before submitting it to a theme. And then once she corrects the mistakes, she submitted to a theme, the process is lightning quicker, which means you get paid faster, funds is transferred faster, and the client is happier faster. If you try to do it through the regular website, they may reject it. And I'll tell you like this, anytime you get an annuity rejected from these companies, the process can turn into months. I've seen one, and I'm not gonna name nobody in the agency, but I've seen one that would have took probably 3 weeks, take 6 months. Right. It got done, but that's huge. And you risking the client just saying, forget it, I don't want to do anything.
Now, that leads me to the question though. Because I don't have those requirements, then should I still put a date on that application?
So here's the best thing. That's a question for Lauren. Guess what? Submit that. If in doubt, write it out. That's my question. Right. If in doubt, write it out. Write it out, right? And if that's a problem, guess who's going to tell you it's a problem?
She will.
Boom. But guess what? At least you'll already have it submitted. And then all she's going to do is say, hey, go back on there and change the date.
Okay.
Because it's not officially submitted when you submit it through Firelight.
Okay.
It's actually officially submitted when Lauren and her team submitted directly to a thing. So submit that application so that way you can find out what mistakes you're made. Because you're always going to make a mistake. I'm good at this, and I did it quite a few times. And when I was finished, it tells you how close you is to almost having everything right. I was 90% right. I had 4% that I messed up on. It was literally one thing. I messed up on like 30 cents on how much was in the account. And she sent me an email back, told me to correct it. I went right back in there, corrected it, submitted it, and now it's already in process.
Well, was yours a paper app or was it electronic?
No, it was Firelight.
Oh, Firelight. So did you have to go in and have the client do the e-signature?
Yeah, it's easy as crap, bro.
All right, okay, all right.
Bro, like literally, you know how you sign that AmeriCorps application?
Yeah.
Same way. And if you email it to them, same way.
Okay.
So it's like when I tell you I can't stress how easy it is, it's super easy.
All right. I'm making it more difficult tonight. Thank you.
Well, yeah, just think about it. You don't have to go back inside the house and get the wet signature. You can literally just send it to their email and tell them, hey, sign this real quick while we're on the phone. They sign it real quick and you're done.
All right.
Okay.
Will do. All right. Thank you.
Right. No problem, Grant. Any other questions, guys? If there's no other questions, we're going to close the call out. This is a good one. It's going to be recorded just like all the other calls. But I think this is one, if you came in late, worth going back to watch. This is one, if you already heard it and you were on this call, you're going to want to come back to this, right? Because I put the illustration on here. Guys, if y'all don't have the illustration that I did, that's a real scenario. Just call me and I'll send you the illustration. Hey, if you're having trouble trying to figure out what's the best way to put a client in there, call me and I'll teach you how to call the company and have them do an in-force illustration while you're sitting right there in front of the client. AMS will send you an illustration. So don't try to think, oh man, I got to know so much. I got to read 20 books to understand this. Just find the opportunities and then call me or call your upline, reach out to AMS. Sean Reggiano, I'm talking to him doggone almost every day now. So if y'all need any assistance to get things pushed through faster, we're there. Lauren, she's the best we got. Her team is amazing. They're pleasant to work with, I'm telling you. They make this process super easy for us. And don't charge you a percentage of your application. So that's kind of it, guys. If you guys have any questions, just hold them to next week. Shoot me a text, shoot me a call. If you find yourself in these scenarios and you're not sure, it's better to call me or better to call your upline to find out than not. Guys, I'm expecting us to go crazy in volume because of this. I'm expecting us to pick up statements. I'm expecting us to find some infinite banking opportunities. I'm expecting us to find some IUL opportunities. And the average commission on an IUL is 10,000. The average commission on the infinite banking is 8 to 15,000. The average commission on annuity is 15,000. That's just the average. So if you add one of those or one of each of those a month, we're looking at well over 30,000 just from 3 cases. That's all I got for you guys. I'll see y'all next week. And y'all need anything, I'm here.